Hi, welcome along to AFTV. It's the big one this weekend, 5:30 kickoff at Anfield. I know, horror show for us normally, but we're taking on Liverpool, the big test for this Arsenal team, and it comes up very early in the season. And here to discuss it with me is Paul from the RedMen TV, the #1 Liverpool fan channel. Straight away, I've got to say to you, you guys have been doing a great job. I've been watching some of your content that you guys have been doing all around the Champions League. Your interview with Klopp. I mean, we ain't getting them sort of access that you've got. But that was brilliant. That was a brilliant coup. And I see with you guys all around the team and that. And you've been doing some great work. And happy days if you're a Liverpool fan. Every Liverpool fan I've seen recently have got this big smile on their face. And
Mate,
for obvious reasons, it's been great times for you guys, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Look, Robbie, we've known each other a long time. You know, this is my 10th year on YouTube doing RedMen TV. You know, and when I started doing this, we had Roy Hodgson in charge. We just sacked Rafa Benitez, and we had Roy Hodgson as the manager. So I've had to do this through some of the darkest times in Liverpool's history, some of the most barren times. So no, it's lovely to be able to make content where based on positivity. You know, being able to look at like the songs and the singing and the routes to the Champions League final and all that kind of stuff. And no, I love it, mate.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I mean, I want them days. I want those days, you know. But listen, yeah, Liverpool have been, you know, the standout team. Unbelievable that like last season, only one defeat for the whole season and still didn't win the league. And obviously for Arsenal, going up to Anfield, we know how tough it's going to be. We've had a terrible time up there over the past few years. But what I want to find out from you is what sort of Liverpool are we going to be catching? Because we know that you've had so many games recently, the Super Cup, the Charity Shield. You know what I mean? You were sort of saying to me off air that, you know, you feel like you've got half a season's gone already because of the amount of games you've had.
Mate, the season's 2 weeks old and I've already been through 2 penalty shootouts. Like, you're not meant to have that in your life. You're meant to gear up to that. You're meant to suffer for an entire season of build-up, and then you go through all this stuff like the season hasn't started. And yeah, I've been through the ringer emotionally and physically as well, travelling around the world. Not to complain, because I'd much rather be in those games than not, because more often than not, we haven't been in those games for the longest time. But no, that's the thing. We were chatting over on our website, weren't we? And there's the balance, and is Liverpool having to be so intense from the start of the season. Does that go in our favour because it means we've had to get up to speed, so we're at a higher level? Or alternatively, how do you maintain that level when you have to go? When you, as I say, you should be ramping up. You should be able to ease your way into a campaign. So I'm hoping that it certainly goes in Liverpool's favour, because we've already had 2 massive games against massive teams already. So we are, I think, arguably slightly more primed for this game than Arsenal. But, you know, we haven't been at our best in any of the games we've seen so far this season, which is, look, we lost the Community Shield on penalties, and we've won, you know, we won the Super Cup on penalties, and we've won the first 2 Premier League games. No complaints properly, but there have been weaknesses that I think an Arsenal could potentially expose if Liverpool aren't on their game at the weekend.
Yeah, one thing is that, you know, last season it was rock solid, was the defence. Well, obviously, Alisson's out, the keeper, that, you know, obviously makes things tick at the back. And also the defence has, in a couple of games, I wouldn't say, not overall shaky, but there's been a lot of shaky moments in some of those games.
Yeah, I think a lot of it points towards, I think people are trying to work out exactly what Liverpool are doing differently this season, and whether it's a combination of fatigue or teams figuring Liverpool out, or whether we've made a tactical change. And I think that it looks as though Klopp's kind of made a tactical tweak to how we defend. He's pushing the defence up a little bit higher. Chris did some great work on this last week again on our website, and on average we've been playing at 10 yards further up the pitch than we were last season, which isn't a massive difference, but it just means that the more obvious route for teams is to play in behind, is just to stick the ball over the top and chase us down. And if Liverpool do that and we're not 100% on our game, particularly with the pace of Lacazette, with Aubameyang, potentially with obviously Pepe in there as well, you could really hurt us, because Norwich got in a few times times. Chelsea got in time and time again. Now, they got in behind with the likes of Giroud, who, as you well know, is not exactly a speed merchant. So Liverpool are going to need to be a little bit more switched on. I suspect what Liverpool have done is they're putting it in the hands of VAR and saying, look, we trust our team to play a high line because we trust our offside trap, and we're going to leave it in the hands of the officiating to say when things are offside or not. It is dangerous, but also we've seen it already with the Sterling thing with Man City, is that they are being brutal in their punishment of offside. So I think that's our game plan. But it only ever takes one slight miscalculation in terms of positioning or officiating, and we could give away a chance.
Yeah, and Liverpool's still playing this style where they really look to press and close down the opposition, because I see that possibly as a thing that worries me at Arsenal. Against Burnley, we nearly got caught a couple of times. We try now to pass it out from the back every single time, which, again, I hope we don't do against Liverpool. But is that still the Liverpool style?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it will be against you guys in particular, because we had to adapt last season to being... We did the gegenpressing was the thing that people associate with Liverpool and Klopp. And we moved away from that last season because, realistically, if a team comes to draw a game or comes to sit deep, park the bus, whatever you want to call it, you can't really counter press because they're not giving you those opportunities to do it so much because they're so tightly packed. So we switched to being a more possession based side last season, which is how we got so many more wins ultimately. But when it comes to these type of games, teams that are going to hopefully come and have a go at us, then that high press, looking to put people on the back foot is how we'll do it. It's interesting though that having someone like David Luiz is the kind of defender who I think will benefit Arsenal in this game, because we all know what he's capable of, and you can take both meanings on that. We've seen the good and the bad in David Luiz at Chelsea down the years, but he is a guy who's comfortable in possession. And, Liverpool's style is based upon picking the weakest link, picking the guy who's least comfortable in possession of the football. So the more footballers you guys have got at the back, the more that you should have the ability to counteract the counter press.
Yeah, and what just, in general, what have you made of Arsenal? Obviously, a lot of signings, unusually for us, have come in. Dani Ceballos, obviously David Luiz, as you just mentioned, Nicolas Pepe, Martinelli. What have you made? Maybe not exactly of the players, because you're not really been able to see them, but just in general, do you think that you see Arsenal as a different Arsenal team?
Yeah, in general, look, as you're right. Look, obviously, I've been watching Liverpool's games closely rather than Arsenal ones, needless to say. But in Pepe, he's primed to be one of those players. And from a Liverpool perspective, I know there'll be some young lads online waiting for the moment when he inevitably scores against us, because we were so heavily linked with him all summer. And the people just love a recrimination on Twitter, don't they? They love having something to blame for something. So if he has a good game, and even if it's just a goal, there'll be some Liverpool fans who are primed to just lose their heads because they'll feel as though we've somehow lost out by not picking him up. But look, the lad's are talented. The numbers were all there last season. He definitely fitted the profile of, in terms of what he was achieving, in terms of goals and assists, at a decent level in Liga and last season. That he's got the potential to be a top quality player. And look, Robbie, we've been doing this stuff for a long time now, and we've been together on many a deadline day and had to see the signings that Arsenal have or haven't made, and for them to go so big in that regard, I think is a real message, because you look at the teams around the top four this season, and look, I don't think this is arrogance on my part, but I think it would be a surprise if City and Liverpool weren't fighting out for the title. But beyond that, there's unrest still at certain football clubs, and I think what you guys have got, with this being the second season of Emery, having that consistency plays into your hands, I think, because he's been backed, so he's got the support of the board, he's got the support of the fans. Then you look at Manchester United and you look at Chelsea, and those two clubs both look primed to have a major blowout this season at some point. And I think that's, Arsenal being backed in the transfer market sends a positive message. Buying good players but backing them big time means that, Arsenal look most fit to capitalise on what I think will be a shaky season for those other two sides. And that's what, look, you know, look, we've made the top four joke too many times down the years. It's not a joke. It's important. No, but getting into the top four is vital for success. The money is far too important to football clubs. You need that if you want to press on. But I think Arsenal are very, very well positioned to kick on this season.
All right, well, listen, Paul, thank you very much. We're going to be coming up to, of course, to Liverpool, and hope to see you. Hopefully, it's just that smile he's got, right? He's just got this little smile about him. Yeah? Every time I come out of Anfield, he just has that on his face, and I'm just, here he goes. But no, fair, and congratulations to you guys for last season. It was a great season. But hopefully, I can wipe that smile off your face this weekend. And looking forward to seeing you again, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Robbie.